Here with another video for you today. Today's video I want to talk about cards that need to be addressed. Cards that are just not fun to play against, too meta defying, too OP. And we're going to start with number 1, Mr. Prince Keleseth. I hate this card. This is, in my opinion, the Barnes of the meta, where you instantly win if you play it. It's the Barnes of the meta. It needs a nerf. There is no worse feeling knowing your opponent played Keleseth on 2 or coined it out on turn 1. There's just no worse feeling in the game, right? It's just like Barnes. You know how shitty you felt when your opponent played Barnes on 4 or coined it out on 3. You know you lost. Their win rate increased by like 20%. There shouldn't be cards like this in the game. If they want to call themselves a strategy card game, cards like these shouldn't exist, where it's just too heavy on RNG. You win because you had it in your opening hand. How fair is that? How fair is that? Prince Keleseth needs to get nerfed. It increases the win rate tremendously just by being lucky having it in your opening hand. I mean, the cost isn't too bad if your deck has no 2-cost cards. Are you kidding me? That's the trade-off. This card is limiting design for future 2-drops. I mean, it's going to be in the... It has one more expansion before it gets rotated, which is the next one at the end of the year. This card is limiting card design. Anytime I make a deck, first thing that comes into my mind is, do I want to play Keleseth? That's how meta defying it is. Why play any other 2-drops or 2-cost cards when you could just play Keleseth? It just limits design. Anytime they print a 2-cost card, the first thing people are going to think about is Prince Keleseth. So next expansion, they're either going to print shitty 2-drops because there's no point, because people are still going to play Keleseth, or they're going to print probably the most OP 2-drops ever for Keleseth to be removed. This card needs a change. When they nerf it, hopefully they nerf it, it should either be 3 or 4 mana, or you should change his battle cry to give all your minions in your deck +1 attack or +1 health, but not both. That's the 2 ways to nerf it. Change the battle cry to +1 attack only, or change its mana cost to costing 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. I don't care. It just needs to be removed. Prince Keleseth needs a nerf. I'm sick of losing to this card simply because my opponent had it in their opening hand. It increases their win rate by like 20%. Especially now with Zoo, now that they have doubling imp. It was bad enough Serenite Chain Gang got +2/+2. Now they have doubling imp, which is another +2/+2. This card has been problematic since its release. If you guys remember last year, Tempo Rogue was the best deck because of this. You know, you play Keleseth, Shadow Step, you just won the game. It's frustrating to lose on turn 1. It's frustrating to know I'm gonna lose the game before I even did anything. This card is a worse Barnes. Barnes, at least, it took time to set up. It took 3-4 turns. And if you're aggro, you could probably win. Keleseth can be played on turn 1 if your opponent goes second. You can't do nothing about it. There is no worse feeling knowing I just lost the game because my opponent played Keleseth on his opening hand. It's just no worse feeling. So this card needs to be addressed. Second, I would say, is Druid. What the fuck? Alright. We all know what's coming, right? Ultimate Infestation. This card needs a huge nerf. Deal 5 damage is fine. Gain 5 armor is fine. Summon a 5/5 is fine. The real main issue with this card is the drawing 5 cards. Insane value. Insane. Think about it. Deal 5 damage, summon a 5/5. You could say that's Firelands Portal. That's 7 mana. Gain 5 armor is 1 mana. So that's 8. Draw 5 cards is like 9 mana. So that's 16 value. 16 value you're getting for 10. I just don't get it. Ultimate Infestation has been a card that should have been addressed a while ago, and it just keeps getting more OP as expansions keep coming to the meta. This card now brings out Tyrant, Arcane Tyrant so easily. There are many times my opponent plays UI, brings out a 5/5, then an Arcane Tyrant. Oh, he just drew another one. So it's actually more like 5/5 and then a 4/4 and then a 4/4. It's just so much value for one card. But the biggest issue is the draw 5 cards. I think the best way to nerf this card is making it draw either 2 or 3 cards. That's probably the best way to nerf this card. The drawing has to be, something has to be done with the drawing. Because the biggest issue with Druid, it's bad enough they ramp like crazy. But the thing is, when they use ramp, they lose a card. And they lose tempo. So it was balanced. But as soon as UI came out, all those cards that they invested and they wasted, now they just drew them back. It's just the best investment card. Like, Wild Growth is a -1. Nourish is a -1. Right? They're losing cards, they're losing tempo in exchange for ramp. That's fine, we could deal with that. But now that UI can refresh your hand, drawing 5 cards, it's like you didn't even invest nothing. This card has to be nerfed. It's too OP, in my opinion, the best spell in the game. And it's so easy to play on turn 4-5 with all this ramp that Druid has. It's no worse feeling knowing Druid just reached turn 10. I'm about to get UI'd, and it's just so bad. It's just like a Prince Keleseth feeling. Another card that needs to be addressed is Spreading Plague. This needs the odd rogue, or not odd rogue, this needs the quest rogue treatment where it gets nerfed twice. I feel like they need to lower its health. That's it. This card is fine if it gets its health lowered. I would say to either 3 or 4. If it's summon a 1/3 or 1/4, it would be better. 5 health is just way too much. Just way too much. This card is probably the most annoying card I've ever dealt with. Spreading Plague needs to get nerfed again to either 1/3 or 1/4, but not 1/5. It just does so much, dude. One card's giving you that much value, and then you could buff it with Power of the Wild. You could buff it with Branching Path. You could do so much with these cards. It's just not fun to play against. It's the reason Mossy Horror Seas play. Mossy Horror Seas play because of Spreading Plague. And another card that is going to be addressed, Giggling Inventor. So Spreading Plague is the best anti-aggro card ever made, in my opinion. This needs to be nerfed again, for sure. To either 1/3 or 1/4. Simple nerf. Next one is Bloodreaver Gul'dan. Where are you at? This card is another card that just has so much value in one card. It's the N'Zoth of the meta, in my opinion. It just does so much for one card, man. And it's so easy for Warlock to reach turn 10. Simply because of all the life steal they're getting, all the healing that they're getting. It's so easy for Warlock to reach turn 10. You know you lost when your opponent played this. You just know you lost. It's just so much value generated. They get back their Doom Guards, they get back their Void Lords, they get back that 4 mana 7/7 Hooked Reaver, they get back that 2 mana 2/4 Taunt. They get back everything. It's just like, why kill anything? It's just gonna come back. And then their hero power is broken as fuck. It's just like Malfurions, except 2 in 1. It's 4 mana for 2. Malfurions is either gain 3 armor or deal 3 damage. This does both for 2 mana, for half of it. Warlock has too much healing. It's bad enough they have too much healing, but the value, the battle cry is insane. It's the best hero card. That's why it costs 10. It's the only hero card that costs 10. It's for a reason, because it's just so OP. It does too much for one card. It just refreshes your board. It's insane. I just don't get how this is allowed. How is this not nerfed yet? I just don't get it. This needs to be nerfed. The only way to nerf it is to summon either 3 or 4 minions, but not all of them. To get 7 free minions for nothing is insane. I just don't get how this is not nerfed yet. The only way to nerf it is to make it either 3 or 4 minions, which is already OP. Because you're going to bring back Void Lords anyway, right? But at least you're not bringing back everything else. So in my opinion, the only way to nerf this is to bring back 3 or 4 minions. That's the only way. Another one is Giggling Inventor. This card is, in my opinion, the corridor creeper of the meta, where it's a neutral that's in every class, every deck. It's just too oppressive. It's annoying when you're an aggro player and you're going against it. It's just too defensive. This is the reason Masiharu is getting teched. This is the reason Blood Knight is getting teched. It's just, it does too much for one card. It's just too much value for one card. This could be easy nerf. Either make it 6 mana or lower some health, make it like 1/1 mechs, because the Divine Shield is really annoying to get through. This is the best comeback card probably ever in Hearthstone. It's the neutral spreading plague, as I like to call it. So I mean, this card isn't like, what makes this card so strong is, you would think it's just like 5 mana 2/1 summon 2 Annoyatrons. Oh, that's not a big deal, right? But there's so many win more cards, there's so many buff cards. Fungomancer is also a card that should be addressed. It's a cheaper Bone Mayor that buffs them and you just win the game on the spot. It's just too many stats. It's just a good defensive card, it's a good offensive card. It sets you up for Fungomancer. It's a good comeback card. It does way too much for one card, and it's a neutral, so it's in every single deck. And this card is actually really good in Quest Rogue. If you bring it out, it's 5 mana, 4/4, and 3 bodies with Taunt Divine Shield. It's an instant win card. Yeah, this needs to be addressed, Giggling Inventor. 2 more cards I feel like need to be addressed. Carnivorous Cube. Carnivorous Cube. This card is OP as fuck. Kobolds and Catacombs, probably the most OP expansion ever made. Just nerf everything in that expansion. It's just ridiculous. Carnivorous Cube is seeing insane play in almost every deck now, in almost every class. This card was broken when it came out because of Cube Lock, but now it's in Druid, now it's in Hunter, it's in so many classes. It could do so much. It's in Rogue. There's just so much value. It's limiting card design, in my opinion. Okay, it does so much for one card. Cards that need to be nerfed are cards that just do way too much for its cost. 5 mana 4/6 is already premium stats, and its effect is just OP as fuck. Like if you activate this on Devilsaur Egg and then you play dead or something, you just won the game. It's just so much value. You want to activate it on a friendly minion that you want dead, which is a Death Rattle that can summon you a big minion like Whelp, like Egg. Or you could, it's a good way to just trade your minion, and if it has some health left, you cube it and then activate either Naturalize, activate Play Dead. You just got so much value. And this is obviously another broken card in Taunt Druid. You play Witching Hour, you play Cube, you just won the game. It's that simple. Carnivorous Cube is too OP. It's used way too much. It's in every deck, every class. It just does way too much. It's limiting design, in my opinion. So I feel like Carnivorous Cube needs to nerf. Either nerf its stats or increase its cost. It's just way too strong. Either make it 6 mana, where it takes you more time to set up, or make its stats like 4/4. Actually, if you lower its stats, it helps, because you want it to die. I would say just make it 6 mana. Last card is Malygos. Where you at, Malygos? This card is another card that's limiting card design. Obviously Malygos Druid, some people feel it's the most OP deck right now, especially with Floop out. This card was seeing some experimental play in Rogue when the expansion came out. Didn't really work too well. Rogue doesn't have the survivability like Druid does. But this card is probably going to get Hall of Fame. It's been out since the game's been out, and it sees a lot of play, particularly in Rogue, Druid. It just does too much, you know, especially with Floop. See, when you have cards like Malygos, you're limiting card designs. Something like Floop, because Floop is the second Malygos, and that's not what we need. We don't need more Malygoses. We need less Malygoses. Okay, Malygos needs to go. It just does too much for its cost. Spell damage +5 is insane, and now we have cards that could copy it. You know, it's obviously good in Druid because of Twig of the World Tree. And then you play Faceless, then you play Floop, you just won the game. It's limiting card designs, I feel. And this card it's probably gonna get Hall of Fame, I feel. It is it's just in every meta, especially with how OP Druid is. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, or 6, 7 cards that need to be addressed. Overall, I feel like the Boomsday Project expansion is really good. Still a very diverse meta. Priest and Warrior still suck, but it can take you a legend to have over 50% win rate with control. Other than that, those cards need to be addressed. Other than that, the meta is really good. Boomsday Project is a good expansion. And I feel like just cards that generate too much value or just don't make you feel good, like Keleseth, those cards need to go. So hopefully Blizzard will nerf those cards. Their upcoming nerf, you know, they always nerf cards after an expansion, usually about a month or two. So hopefully some of those cards will get addressed, but mainly Prince Keleseth, Ultimate Infestation. Hopefully those go. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Comment down, let me know if I missed anything or if I'm being too harsh on some cards. Let me get to know your opinion, and see you guys next video. Peace.